27 years, Scott Humston has shared wonder in most major church denominations in the United States. He's worked with dozens of companies like Southwest Airlines, UPS, and the BBC, and has even performed at the White House. He has been married for 25 years and has 4 children. When not traveling, Scott and his family reside in beautiful Mount Dora, Florida. Scott, I'm so glad you're here today.
Thanks, David. Man, I'm glad to be here. It's exciting.
Well, I have to admit something. I haven't told you this, but this is not the first time we've met.
No?
We met 25 years ago.
Get out of town.
You came to my church when I was a kid in just
Get out of town.
I am serious. And I have not forgotten this.
That's a good surprise, man.
Yeah, 25
That's
years
good.
ago.
You see it on my face.
Here's the thing. You performed a trick, and it has not left my mind.
For real.
For 25 years, I've been trying to track you down. If I remember correctly, you had a volunteer come on stage, and you put a ball in the girl's hand, and you waved your hand or something. She opened up her hand, and there were 2 balls there.
Yeah.
She closed her hand. You waved your hand. She opened up. There were 3,
Right.
and then 4. So for 25 years, I've been trying to track you down to find out how you did that.
That is so funny.
And
That
I
is
feel like
great.
you're probably not going to reveal your secret to me.
No, I'm not, but that's fantastic. Yeah.
25 years.
Okay, you got to tell me this, David. What church was that?
This was Calvary Fellowship Church in Fenton, Missouri. You came a couple times.
I did, yes. That was a great church. That is fantastic.
And you've planted that in my head. And the funny thing was, if I remember correctly, the girl that you called on stage, that their family, they were visitors. They had never been there before. So afterwards, we're like, maybe they were a plant.
Right.
Like maybe they had something up. And then we found out, no, they had just come randomly, and you blew our minds.
That is so great. Thank you for sharing that with me, really.
And something beyond that, though, something else that has stuck with me, other than, and that's still going to mess with me, that trick while we're talking. But you shared your story. And that has not left my mind in 25 years.
Wow.
And you talked about your childhood and what that was like. And today we see you're this fantastic illusionist, you're this entertainer, this communicator. But I remember you talking about how childhood was not exactly the easiest thing, and things weren't necessarily looking perfect for you when you were young. Can you kind of share some of your story about what that was like from birth and kind of what you overcame?
Absolutely. So especially for our listeners, so I was born with a cleft lip and palate, which is the splitting of the roof of the mouth all the way through the gum line. 1 out of 300 kids when I was born were diagnosed with a cleft lip and palate. And the stats change a little bit now, unfortunately, due to a choice people make before birth, which is very unfortunate. But I was born with this cleft lip and palate, and so had 6 surgeries through my life. The most recent was when I was 18 in college. And so when you're born with a facial defect, right? The face is the first thing we notice when we look at somebody, right? Eyes, kind of meet and connect with the face. So my surgeon actually told my mom, I was young. I was old enough to remember this, but I was pretty young. He said, Mrs. Humston, cleft palate children are very much an extreme success in life, or they're very much an extreme failure in life. They either overcompensate for this, or they just become reclusive, right? And they turn into themselves. So you can probably guess which direction I landed, but it really had to do a lot with my mom. My dad was the pastor, but my mom really poured into me. And one of the truths that she poured into me was Matthew 6:33. Seek his kingdom first and his righteousness, and then all of these things will be added unto you. And so I really focused on that as a kid and was really blessed with some incredible mentors. And the Fenton Church, I remember that church very well. I was there several times. What you don't know is that Festus, Missouri was the first school event I ever did. It was there in Festus. And we do a show for 25 plus years called the Pro Kids Show. That's what I did until COVID. And it's a great event. You saw excerpts of that at your church when you were a kid. But it was after that school event in Festus, Missouri. I was 22 years old. And a boy came up to me after the show. And he said, and this was in the school and wasn't overtly a Christian message. If you're a believer and you see, it's pretty obvious, but it wasn't. There was no altar call or anything like that. He came up to me at the edge of the stage and he said, Mr. Scott, are you a Christian? And I said, as a matter of fact, I am. And he goes, I could just tell from the way you talked to us today. And it was the most mature thing, this 5th or 6th grade boy. And I knew then I was on the right path, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
our listeners are going to have to just indulge me for a second, because I'm getting goosebumps, because I remember you telling us that story about the doctors talking to your parents.
Right, yeah.
That has stuck in my mind. And 25 years ago, seeing what you had done, I thought that is so inspiring. 25 years later, I'm sitting across from you talking to you. I'm thinking like, this is so surreal to see you here at the D6 conference when 25 years ago you were at my local church performing. And sorry to the audience listening. I'm just kind of having like my mind is blown right now.
You're like, are you ever going to get a job?
Yeah.
That's right.
Not quite. So I do want to talk about like your origins with magic and illusions. What led you there? What started that for you?
Yeah. So again, born with this cleft lip and palate. I was a small kid, couldn't play sports. My mom and dad didn't want a ball hitting me in the face. We weren't really a sports family at all. My dad was a pastor, and we had a friend of my dad's named Reverend Clyde Serrett. And he would come to these churches as we would move around. My dad, moving every 3 or 4 years, and he would do kids crusades at our church. And he was a magician. He did magic. And I should stop there and say, for anybody wondering, magicians do tricks. God does miracles. There's a big difference. This is an art form. It's like playing the piano. It's like playing the violin. It's like a sport or anything like that. It takes practice. It takes skill, and just learning. And so I saw him as a kid. And loved magic tricks, and that was an outlet that I could do that. I could learn those tricks. And so I just became prolific at reading books on tricks and just continued. And, now my mom wanted me to be a magician. I wanted to be a surgeon, but my mom's like, no, you better be a magician. So that's a joke. Actually, the doctor across the street from me, who we've lived now in this house for 20 years, Dr. Torres is his name. And one time we were in the street talking years ago, and he goes, I wish I could do something like you do. I'm like, here, come, would you call my mom for a minute and talk to her? No, so anyhow, I just let just blessed. When you find your passion, and this is what I have told my 4 kids as they're growing, find a passion and let God pour into that passion and just exalt him with it. So.
Yeah, you mentioned that story about the boy coming up to you and asking if you were a Christian. Can you tell us a little more about how what you do relates to your faith? Because they're not separate things. From what I've seen you do, they are one and the same. Can you talk about that combination between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I work is basically in the performance, if you want to call it that, or the event, is entertaining people, getting people to laugh, breaking down barriers with people, getting them to see me as a real person. It might be fooling them with a trick of some kind, but really communicating with them. And then once I've developed that openness with them, and I say them as an audience as a whole, and then just sharing a message with them. God promises to bless the preaching of his word, not magic tricks. And not music. We can exalt God with music, and we can exalt him with art. We can exalt him with all of those things. But he promises to bless the proclamation of his word. His word will not come back void. So for me, and the way I work, it's important to have a point, especially depending on the event we're doing, have a point where his word is proclaimed without a magic trick, if that makes sense. And just proclaim his word and let that sit. Especially dealing with children. I deal a lot with, family audiences, and that's my favorite. But kids, just honoring a child in the sense of, if I can fool them with something vanishing out of my hands, but then go to talk about Jesus rising again, you have to be careful, because they'll put those two things together, right? So, was that a trick? Was that an illusion? So I'm careful about how I guess, illustrate truth. But Jesus, of course, used parables, and parables are great. Stories are great, and kids can latch on to those stories and remember the truth behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you talk about the share wonder phenomenon and how that took root and how that has grown?
Yeah, so a few years ago, as I was thinking, coming into a new year, I was thinking, what kind of sums up what I do? Because it really is more than a magic trick or an illusion. It really is, at its base, is joy and wonder produces joy. So I really wanted to focus on sharing wonder. That's the name of my book, almost done. And I just want people, when we share wonder, we can share his wonder, share God's wonder. That encompasses joy, laughter, life, all of those things. And I just love that word, wonder. Evokes kind of a childhood essence in many of us. which is a good thing.
Well, we're going to flip this a little bit. I've been waiting 25 years to get on that stage as a volunteer, and now I have my chance. Is there anything that you can kind of show us? Can you blow my mind with one of your tricks?
I'm going to try. So we'll do a card trick.
I'll try to narrate for our listening audience.
Yeah, so we'll do a card trick. Now, I will tell you, the first deck of cards I ever got, I was in 2nd or 3rd grade. I won them at school, elementary school in Milford, Kansas. And I brought them home, and my mom, being the good pastor's wife that she was, made those cards disappear. Now, she's never admitted that, but I know I never saw them again. I'm going to pass them over to you.
Okay.
And just give them a shuffle, mix them up.
Okay.
Just don't rearrange the order. I'm messing with you, Andy.
Oh,
it's
boy.
all right.
Yeah, he said that right as I had already started flipping them around.
Yeah, and just make sure they're all different. It's just a regular deck of cards. They are brand new, actually. I just
flipping
opened them
through.
up.
They look brand new. I'm seeing every normal card. Nothing looks out of place. Normal deck. They're red on the back for those of their visual people. But yeah, I don't see anything.
He's definitely rearranging them.
I've shuffled them, and I am not a plant. I will tell everyone that.
Yes, you're a person. All right. This is fun. So I want you to just tell me, push a card toward me, and you can do it. And I'll grab it, but you tell me where that you think is the 8 of hearts, David. So you're going to have to concentrate, okay? Like orange juice. Concentrate. That was stupid. Anywhere you want. You just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Is that good?
Yes.
Now I'm going to come down here. You tell me any of these.
Where your middle finger is.
Right
yes.
here? That one?
The one to the right of it.
This one?
Other side.
The other right? Okay.
that one, yes.
That's the one you want?
Yes.
8 of hearts.
8 of hearts.
All right, we'll leave it right there.
Okay.
We're going to ask Tim to come over. Tim's off camera over here. And Tim, push one toward me. You can actually come do it if you want, Tim. If you're right there, it's up to you. Push one toward me you think is the Queen of Spades.
Tim's looking for the Queen of Spades.
These are all face down, by the way. Queen of Spades, very good. So Tim selected one. David selected one. And I'm going to take one. I'm not going to tell you which one I'm going to take.
Okay.
Because my mind's kind of blank at the moment. Fair?
Yeah, everything. My cards are sitting there. Tim's cards
very
sitting there.
Very fair, right?
Yes.
Right, yeah, very fair.
No way. 8 of hearts.
8 of hearts?
No way.
Tim? Queen of Spades.
Holy cow.
I told you my mind was blank.
Yes. He just pulled a blank card out. I'm done. What in the world?
Crazy, right?
Wow. Okay, yeah. For the people listening, well, you need to watch the video. You're going to be able to see that. But, I mean, I am staring at these cards. I shuffled these cards. We picked out these cards, and I watched your hands. I did not see anything change. And he just pulled our cards out, or we picked our cards. I don't know what happened, but he pulled a blank card out, and that card was not there when I looked at them. Tim, are you okay?
We'll do one more. Is that good? Yes?
Yeah.
We have time for one more?
Yeah, you see this on TV and you're thinking, okay, editing has been done,
right.
YouTube, just they could switch stuff around. I've never experienced this in person.
That's cool.
I'm shaking a little bit.
So I'm going to hold the cards up. I fan the cards out. I'm going to hold them. I just want you to look at a card that you see and remember it. Just in your mind, not even out loud.
Okay.
Can you see them?
Yes.
You got one?
I got one.
Wasn't the card on the end, though, was it?
No, it was not.
That makes it too easy for me.
Right.
It was a red card, though.
Yes.
Yes.
50-50 guess.
It was a diamond, was it not?
It was not.
That's what I said it was not.
It was not.
Stay with me on this one. I got it right here. It was the Ace of Hearts.
No.
Oh, what was it?
It was a King of Hearts.
It was the King of Hearts? It's a good thing or I would have missed.
Stop. He just turned it over.
Well. So, I love card tricks. That's for sure.
Oh, well, with all this voodoo magic going on, we're about to be canceled. Folks, I don't know where to go from here. I mean,
right, yeah.
It's when you see it happen to other people, you think, oh, that's cool, that's neat.
Right.
When it happens to you, I don't know how to process this. So let's end on this because people need to know this. What can people expect to see at your events?
So I use actually a combination of music and magic tricks and stories and just to share the gospel with people. If that is in a situation where it's an outreach, then obviously we share the gospel in an outreach format. if it's a volunteer event or an event to share awareness of something for a church or like D6 here. Really, it's just encouraging people here at D6. I'm just encouraging all these great leaders of their church, getting them to laugh a little bit. What I like to call in an environment like this on stage, I kind of do brain breaks for people because they've processed so much information the last few sessions that their brain needs a break, honestly. So you just come out, and at that point, there's just sharing laughter with them. And I'm just so excited to be with you guys.
Well, for our listeners out there, and I'll tell you straight up, I was not asked to say this. I was not paid to say this. Scott didn't ask me to say this. But, I mean, when you think about the impact it had on me, 25 years later,
that's amazing.
Your story still sticks with me. Your tricks still stick with me, but it's the story more than anything that I still remember. I mean, that exact conversation that you shared that the doctor had with your parents, I can vouch for the effectiveness of your ministry and what you're doing.
That's fantastic, David. Thank you.
It is amazing. It's fun. It's engaging. What you've done right now, 25 years from now, I'm going to be telling people. But what you do is so incredible. And the fact that what you are doing is sharing the gospel with people who need it so desperately, and you're encouraging those who need that encouragement so desperately.
Amen.
The fun stuff is fun, but there's eternal stuff going on that matters.
Yep. Absolutely.
Scott, thank you for being here at this conference. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for messing with my head so much right now that I will never forget this moment in my life.
You're welcome. Blessings to you.